This week we're studying Parshat Noach, and according to at least one midrashic source, at least according to one source in the midrash, Noach is the inspiration for our father Abraham to be involved in kindness. Although there are many, many people who love talking against Noach, we have a principle in this house. We try to enforce it every year for many, many years already. It doesn't always work. You remember Rabbi Yaakov? It's called no Noach Pasha. You know, like you want to get up and say the Dvar Torah in our house on Parshat Noach. Don't tell me how terrible Noach is. I know there's such an approach, but we try to learn the positive about Noach to the best of our ability. So Noach really is a very kind person. One of the kindest people in the world. In what sense? Not only building the ark, but during the flood itself,
looked after all the animals.
Took care of the whole. Took care of every form of living creatures.
We're at the place of a Kodesh Baruch Hu in a sense.
Rachamav al kol ma'aseh. So I like to read a midrash. The midrash says, there's a midrash in Shocher Tov. That's the midrash on the book of Tehillim, on the book of Psalms, chapter 37. So there seems to be some kind of discussion there, where Avraham Avinu, our father Abraham, discusses with Shem, Melchizedek, discusses with Shem, the son of Noach. Could you please tell me, how did you get out of the ark? What helped you survive that great tragedy? What special meritorious deed were you involved in to survive the flood? So he says to him, how'd you get out of there? Amar lo b'tzedakah shahayinu osim. We were involved in tzedakah. You know what tzedakah means? Charity. So Abraham says to Shem, charity. There were charity cases in the ark. You know, like you can imagine people walking around like in the teva collecting funds. Amar lo b'chimat tzedakah yalachem la'asod b'chi aniyim hayushan. What do you mean tzedakah? In what sense was there charity opportunities available in the ark? So he says a different kind of charity. He says we extended kindness, we extended charity to the chayam, to the behemah, to the oaf. We showed kindness to all of the beasts, to all of the creatures, to all of the animals, to all of the birds. We couldn't even sleep at night. Lo ayinu yeshenim kol halayla. You know what it is to feed every species of every type, of every animal? And we would give food to this animal, and food to that animal, and food to this creature, and to that creature. And each one has a different kind of menu, and each one has a different feeding schedule. That was the great tzedakah that we were involved in doing. And it's through that merit that we survived the flood. And according to the midrash, I find it to be a fascinating midrash. Avraham says, wow, if that's what you do, when you feed animals, if the merit of feeding animals is so great, if taking care of animals brings you to such a level of survival, what about taking care of human beings? How much more so would the act of helping people be elevated? Amar Avraham, ma elu ilulei sha'asu tzedakah im behemah chayava'o lo hayu yotzim misham. Ani im e'aseh im bnei adam shehem b'dmut v'tzelem al achat kama v'chama. Surely so, to help people. And therefore, according to this midrash, Abraham sets up his hospitality center Vayita Eshel Bever Sheva as a result of learning from the deeds of Noach, which to me is an eye-opener. Noach becomes the spiritual leader and the inspiration for Abraham to do kindness. And of course, in many, many places, we learn in our tradition about the importance of being sensitive to animals. As we said before, Rachamav al Kol Ma'asav, However, it would seem that if you're supposed to be sensitive to animals, then how much more so should you be sensitive to human beings? Maybe that's one of the lessons of the flood. In fact, on Sukkot, we were learning in the Sukkah, there's a story about the first reference to a place called Sukkot in the Torah. The first time that Sukkot is mentioned in the Torah. Anyone remember? What?
It was the second one from after says they came to Sukkot.
Yeah, that's in the book of Shemot. But there's a reference even in the book of Bereshit. Yes.
Yaakov built Sukkot.
Yaakov built Sukkot. Yaakov is traveling home to Israel. Yaakov nasa Sukkota. He traveled to Sukkot. Vayiven lo bayit, and he makes for himself some kind of house, some kind of dwelling. Ula mikneu, the first reference to Sukkot. Ula mikneu asa Sukkot. And to his animals, he arranged some kind of Sukkot, some type of an animal dwelling place, right? Maybe some type of shelter for the animals. Now he built for himself a house, and he built for his animals Sukkot. If you had to interview Yaakov, or you had to guide Yaakov, and now he wants to call the name of the place by one of these two actions, what would you think he would call the name of the place? I would think that it's more significant that he built a house than he built Sukkot. And the text says, Al Kain Kara Shem HaMakom Sukkot. And therefore he called the name of the place Sukkot. Sukkot. You built a house for yourself. You built shelters for your animals. You call the name of the place shelter? You call the name of the place Sukkot? Call the name of the place Bayit. So I don't know the answer. The Or HaYim says that maybe this is the Chidush. That not only was he concerned with people, not only was he concerned for the betterment of all of the people, but he was also concerned for the animals, and that's why the Sukkot teaching is to be sensitive to animals as well. If that's the case, maybe each of us this week of Parshat Noach, all the sensitivity that we could derive from our great teacher Noach, who's mentioned in glorious terms in the Torah. Noach matzah hein b'nei Hashem. Noach found favor and grace in the eyes of God. Noach ish tzaddik. Tamim hayavadarotav. He's righteous. He's perfect. He's everything. So he walks with God. I see you to be such a righteous person. One of the many, many lessons that we can learn from Noach is sensitivity, especially sensitivity in feeding. And if Noach is the expert par excellence of feeding animals, each of us is supposed to derive from this how important and significant we should be, not only in taking care of animals, but in taking care of human beings as well.
This idea of Noach bringing sensitivity to the world, which later is upgraded by Avraham Avinu by means of Vayita Eshel Vayikra B'Shem Hashem, giving it a halachic, spiritual, religious motif, but it starts out with Noach being Noach. If we look, we find 3-4 ideas why he's called Noach. Menucha, Nechama, Chen. In the world before Noach, there was dissonance. Everyone was concerned with himself. You look at Lemech, the first Lemech. He has Tuval, Yuval, Tuval, Kain. Suddenly what you have is not dissonance, but you have harmony. And I think that's the unique thing about Noach. He's not just concerned with finding a shelter for himself, but for the world. And as you very nicely said, this is an idea which he can later pass it out to the world.
Thank you.
Someone's name's mentioned twice, that means that they're for sure tzaddikim.
Right.
Like
Right.
Rashayim are.
But there's also some kind of midrash that he was Noach l'shamayim v'Noach l'bariot, like trying to that he found favor
L'msochem and Elokim v'Adam.
Elokim v'Adam in the eyes of heaven and the eyes of people as well. So let's learn from Noach. It's easy to put him down, but let's learn from his greatness and learn from his righteous deeds, and each person carry it out in extended ways on the highest levels of Noach. Thank you so much. Shalom, everyone. Maybe we should daven Ma'ariv. Vishavirach Avotena Rabbi Yitzchak Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo. Vivarech v'yapek Nitzor V'yishma v'chazek et Yirmiyahu ben Pri v'Nechama Yachad im Kol Cholei Yisrael. El Ner Rafan Allah Kadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachmim Allah Lachmil Rafato Lachzikol Lachadov Yishlachol V'yirafo Shem Nashmayim Chol Yivra V'gidam V'tov Shach Chol Yisrael V'at HaNefesh V'at HaGuf Hashtav HaGalav Zman Karev V'Nomar Amen.